I'm going to open the meeting of the Southborough Zoning Board of Appeals for Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. Those wishing to watch or participate remotely can do so by accessing the meeting link at www.masouthborough.civicplus.com/674/virtual-meetings. Okay, great.
Okay. I'm going to move her over and I will read the notice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Board of Appeals of the Town of Southborough will hold a public hearing via virtual Zoom meeting Wednesday, September 20th, 2023 at 7:00 p.m. with regard to the petition of Adrian and Anna DeLima in Southborough, Mass. The petitioner is seeking a special permit to allow more than 3 garage bays. The property is located in the Residence A district, and relief is requested under Section 174-9 and Section 174-8.2B12.
All right, thank you. And we have, I'm sorry, who was it that was gonna?
Anna DeLima.
Anna DeLima, okay.
Who's still muted, by the way. She wants to start talking.
Hi, hello, I'm Anna DeLima. Nice to meet everyone.
Hi, Anna.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, could you, just for the record, I think we know it is, but could you just make sure you tell us your address in Southborough, please, Anna?
Oh, yes, I live at 12 Wolfpen Lane.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you have something to present tonight, or did you just want to describe what it is that you're trying to do?
Oh, sure, I can share my screen for a minute and show just maybe I think Lara is going to enable screen sharing. Do you mind to do that? I'll try again. It's just a picture of a garage. And so we didn't realize it was a thing that we needed to present to the board when we kind of started our plan. Just we noticed there were quite a few other extra garages in town driving around.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but we learned
yeah.
contractors that it's a requirement here. So this is what it would look like, and I don't know if
there we go. Yep.
anything else or not.
Well, what I see is like sort of a rendering of a 2-bay garage that's freestanding, detached.
Yes.
Do you have any plans, or you just have renderings?
I think it's yes, we have everything that we submitted in our application, and usually my Mr. does this. Adrian usually does it, and it's funny. I heard you guys talking about India. He went to visit his mom, and so he's there now, and so the time difference, he wasn't able to join, but he's
right.
A little bit more passionate about the garage than I am. But I can show you the layout of that is of any interest to you guys. I'm sorry, I just open it over here. Okay, I didn't want to tell you incorrectly, but it's a 24 by 24.
Okay.
And so I think all of these things have been submitted. So we do have the plans. I can send those over. This is the back of it. And then this is the inside. It's quite a bit of ways from the neighbors. It definitely meets the easement requirements around. So we checked all of that off, and the contractors are available. I'm not sure when they would start, but within our we have an HOA on the road that we live on, and so that we've had an annual meeting to where everybody said, yeah, this is fine. So within our little neighborhood that's been cleared.
Okay. Yeah, I don't, unless I'm looking in the wrong place, Laura, I don't think we've seen these. I think the packet included pictures. So I was just curious what you have as far as the details go for the detached garage and where exactly it'll go.
Um, yeah, we have that. I could definitely send it over. In terms of the plot or where our yard is that what you would be interested in?
Yeah, I'd say like it's fairly standard to see like a plot of your property and where we're putting the garage. Some details on what the garage will look like, what the plans are.
Sure, I can show you them. I stopped sharing for just a second. Sorry about that.
Sure.
I thought we had
And
a
we do
plot
have
plan, David.
Yeah, we do have a plot plan with where the proposed garage is going to go in the packet.
Well, I'm sorry.
I didn't see it in the packet.
I believe it's page 9 of the packet.
Yeah. The house is just kind of a line, like a hatch line showing where the existing house is.
Oh, yes.
And then the
Okay, you're right.
actual
Yep.
the actual structures on there are the garage and then a proposed in-ground pool.
Okay, you're right. Sorry about that.
Oh, well, I appreciate the help. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I've got too many different versions of things.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, this seems pretty straightforward. It's Wolf Pen Lane. They're at the end of Wolf Pen Lane, so far away from Sears Road. It's on the other side of the property from 14 Wolf Pen Lane. I don't know where the house on 10 Wolf Pen Lane is, if it's even close to the property line, but they're super far back from the property line.
Yeah, I agree.
So-
I took a look at it, and in terms of the property and where they're locating the garage, I would agree. It seemed like it would have very little impact on anybody. It's kind of hard to even see back there.
Right.
Okay. Paul, do you have questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Like Craig just said, I think it's pretty straightforward and easy to follow.
Okay. Mike, did you have anything you wanted to ask?
No, I know Wolf Pen Lane. I know the property. It was more just kind of having that kind of like as built, like what are they looking to build? Because the application kind of didn't have that meat. And so now that I basically have that and the dimensions, I don't have any further questions.
Okay.
Yeah. I will say, if you could send in those pictures of the renderings for the record,
Yeah, that would be
important. Mainly because a two-story garage is a totally different request.
Mhm.
And you're not requesting that, so making sure that we have pictures that shows it's only one story is important.
Yes.
Doris, did you have questions? You're currently on mute. You're muted right now, Doris.
I thought it was pretty straightforward. I agree with everyone. Other than I didn't see an abutters list. No one's on the call. I don't know. Laura, did we get an abutters list?
We did. Yep.
Okay, I just didn't see it in the packet, but I'm sure it's there. That's it. I think it's straight up
Okay.
to the back of the property
Yeah.
with the pool. I thought I
Yeah.
read that the back of the garage was gonna be part of a pavilion, but that doesn't look like that in the rendering. It's just a garage.
Yeah, I think for in this case, it's just the garage. I mean, the drawing does show the pool, but I mean, I think we obviously just want to talk about the garage right now.
Exactly, right. Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I don't really have any questions either. Laura, do we have anybody who wants to, from the public who would like to chime in?
Nope, there's nobody else here. It's just us.
Okay.
You get any letters for or against, anything like that?
Nope, nothing.
Can I move that we approve the application for garage?
Well,
Oh,
I think we want to close
Close the
that's right. Gosh,
public
out of,
hearing.
out of sync here. I move we close public hearing.
Thank
I'll
you.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made to close the public meeting and seconded. All in favor, respond with aye. Doris,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and Williams is aye as well. Okay, that closes the public part of the meeting. I don't know that we have anything more to debate. I think everybody sees this the same way. It's pretty straightforward. So I'll entertain a motion if we're ready.
I move that we approve the application for the additional garage and garage spaces.
I'll second that.
All right, a motion to approve has been made with a second. All in favor, respond with aye. Against, nay. Doris? Mute button. I think she said aye. There we go.
Aye.
Aye, yeah. Mike,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and Williams, aye. So very good. It's approved. Congratulations. Mr. Lima, I think you're all set now.
Thank you. Thank you for being on the board.
Oh,
Maybe
thank
I
you.
will think of something like that someday. I appreciate it.
There's
You're
a
welcome.
spot opening up.
yeah.
Be an
You
alternate.
beat- Craig, you beat me to it. We'd love to have you on. Come, we're a fun
Always be
bunch.
selling.
When does
Yeah,
it
yeah, we
open?
got an advertisement.
Yeah, come on in. We'd love
Thank
to
you.
have you, Anna.
Thank you. When does it open?
As of
No.
now.
Right now, yeah.
And what's the commitment like?
Oh, it's light duty.
Once a month.
Basically a meeting a month and some, reading of packets ahead of the meeting.
It's doable.
Totally.
It's on the website. It's very easy to apply.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, yeah, I will certainly consider that. Thank you. And thanks, Laura, for all your help.
Of course, and I'll be in
You're
touch
welcome.
with the next steps as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please
Good night.
consider joining.
Hey,
Thank
all
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
And let's see. On the agenda, secondly, we had electronic signatures. Laura, do you
Do
have
minutes
something?
first.
Oh, you're right. I looked right past that. Approval of meeting minutes dated August 16th, 2023.
I can't
Um,
approve those because I wasn't there.
Okay. I will say I actually looked through them pretty well. I had a couple edits, Laura. I did not review the next version after it was edited, but there was an awful lot packed into those minutes. There's a lot of many pages of it. So any concerns, comments, notes from any of the board members on the minutes as written?
None. I think it was actually a really good job getting it all on paper.
Oh my God. I can only imagine how long that took. It must have been painful.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all right.
Doris? Yeah. Doris, what about you?
No, I don't have any comments on the minutes. It was very long.
Yes.
I don't know how you did that, Laura, because you must have had to go through that video again and again to get that detail in.
Yeah. We are grateful that she did it because I don't want to. Okay. All right. Then maybe we're ready to take a motion on approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay. Motion to approve has been seconded. All in favor, respond with aye. Opposed, nay. Mike?
I am abstaining.
Oh, sorry. You're right. You made that clear too. Paul?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye.
Doris?
Aye.
Okay, and Williams, aye. So that would be 4 and 1 abstention. Great, thank you. So now we can talk about the electronic signatures. Did you have something for us, Laura, prepared on that, or?
Yeah, I had sent you guys a draft certificate of vote. I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to review it or not. And if you wanted to take a vote on it tonight.
Okay, geez, no.
And then just that little blurb at the bottom would go on every document that's electronically signed.
So, I feel pretty confident you've done all the due diligence here, but is this pretty much what, there's another board that's doing this, correct?
Yeah, there's conservation who does this.
Okay, and so you pretty much took their boilerplate?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So if you decided that you wanted to adopt this, and you took a vote on it tonight, I would, formalize the certificate of vote with the vote.
Okay.
That would be submitted to the town clerk, and then a certified copy of that would be recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
Okay,
And then from there, we could start using electronic signatures on like decisions and things like that.
okay. Okay, does anybody have any concerns regarding this, Mike?
No, I do. I mean, whether it's the very rare court filing for me, let's say I have a petition for land court or anything like that, they don't even take walk-in signatures unless it's a non-attorney for the most part. So everything for me is e-file. I'm so used to this, whether if it's for a client or contractual status or extension, purchase and sale. I use e-signatures almost daily.
Okay, Craig?
No issue with this. Seems like we probably should have done this a while ago.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Doris?
And on surface, I really have no issue at all. I'm routinely working with e-documents, signing until there's an issue I don't know about, but in general, I'm for it. It
Okay.
really smooths the process,
Okay.
over. And it documents it, like all the copying and a lot of efficiencies with it to
Yeah,
warrant wet signature. I'll tell you this, the IRS still likes wet signature on certain things, even though you can fax it and it's not wet.
okay.
When
Yeah.
POAs, you're still wet signaturing those a little bit. It's you can still hit the wet signature sometimes.
Yeah, this allows you to do both, right? The way I'm
Yep.
reading it.
Mhm.
Do either.
Paul, and do you have any concerns?
No, I'm all in favor of this. Like what Mike said. I mean, most real estate stuff I'm doing these days is pretty much done with e-signature and electronically signed. So, I know for a while there the concern was if there was ever any question of validity, but that's always backed up by the underlying email that generated it, or the reply email that had the e-signature. So I think it's been pretty well vetted and pretty well accepted these days.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I've signed several things this way, so I myself don't have any concerns about it.
Banking, you'll take E. When it came to like my mom's stuff, and my sisters and I live all over, and we can't go down to the bank.
Yeah,
All three of us
yeah,
travel many hours to sign. It works well when it's needed,
yeah. Okay. All right. So if we don't have any concerns, is the procedure here, Laura, to take a vote on the certificate of vote that you provided for us here?
So I think what would be best is to make a motion that is within the certificate of vote. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Okay.
I know it's kind of long, but it covers everything.
So to basically read the certificate of vote?
I think. Does that make sense to you to do it that way?
How about just the part where it's like after electronic signatures, move that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, not the whole certificate of vote. No, just move that. Yeah.
That paragraph.
Yes.
You can do it, Craig.
Fantastic. I'll do this. I move that South Borough Zoning Board of Appeals recognizes and accepts the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 110G regarding electronic signatures for permitting and compliance documents, and that its members will henceforth execute such documents either with electronic signatures or with wet ink signatures, and that both will carry the same legal weight and effect. This statement applies to permitting and compliance documents issued by the board under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Mass General Law, Chapter 40B, and the Town of Southborough Zoning Code, including but not limited to special permits, variances, appeals, comprehensive permits, and requests for continuation of a public hearing or extension of a hearing process.
Seconded.
Okay, very good. Motion to approve electronic signatures has been made and seconded. All in favor, respond with aye, opposed nay. Mike?
Aye.
Okay, Doris?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
All right, Williams, aye. Very good. Great. Thank you for that, Laura. Appreciate it. And thanks for reading that, Craig.
What is the
Okay,
clerk supposed to do?
It does seem like it sort of fits, I have to admit. Okay, on the agenda, the next item we have is accessory apartment discussion. Doris, I think this is you, so I don't know what you have that you want to discuss or present, if anything.
I wanted to talk about a couple of factors and maybe just hear some input that I think would be relevant for the board to maybe
Okay.
give me comment on. So I've actually met with a mini group, one person from planning board and then another person from select board. I don't know if it's relevant to say who I met with. I'm certainly willing to say Deb Demora and Andrew Dennington. And so within our small, tiny discussion, we each charged each of us to survey and look up town code on similar and adjacent towns to us and what their code is on ADUs. So that's in progress at different levels as to what the other towns are doing. Also, through internal memos, the planning board has put like a general summary out. I don't know if that was relevant to share it or not, that they're also looking at maybe doing ADUs by right. Our small working group talked about ADUs by right or just cleaning up the code. Either way, you're going to town meeting with that. So with that, there's some open planning board meetings as how to go about seeing what members of the town might want. I don't want to complicate this. I have some of my own opinions of what would be more palatable at town meeting. A change or cleanup of the code, or just trying to sell entirely, removing the elements of accessory apartments, which we call them accessory apartments, not ADUs. So that's gonna be looked at closely through surveys. The other factor, I don't know, Greg and Paul and David, the town has a lot of activity coming up, and I'm going to say this incorrectly, but they have a bit of an overlap that would have to go to town meeting, is the commuter rail development,
Yeah,
state development.
Yeah.
I want to say act, but that's going to impact our inventory on, just our 40B inventory. And although it's not directly the same thing as ADUs, we'd have to address and align our ADU code to the state. I think I'm
Okay.
saying that correctly. So that's kind of what's going on. There's a charge to, because we canceled special town meeting for this fall, but to get something on the warrant for next spring, planning board is having some open meetings for transparency and feedback on multiple housing near and about the commuter rail.
Right.
And I don't know how many of you are familiar what's going on with that. But basically the sleeper towns, if you have a MBTA stop, there's gonna be some new density,
Right.
new
Requirements from the
density.
state, yeah.
Right, you're gonna have to put apartment, and I don't know where they're gonna put the apartments, I don't know how South Florida Hopkinton are gonna solve it, and where they're gonna put the parking. But that's in the list also, and whether or not those units are gonna be affordable, not. And then it's coupled with, we've got a couple applications coming up to convert to, at least was it 150 and 250?
250,
Route 9
yeah.
to 40B, to have some 40B element to it, which
Right.
could get us close to our 10%, very
Mhm.
close to our 10% in the town. If I covered it, I did the towns of Marlborough. It's been so long now because I tend to do things, Hudson and I want to say Shrewsbury, no, Northborough. I looked at the code for those three towns.
Just to compare what they have for code on accessory apartments. and
Yeah,
what
we're
ours.
kind of, yes, exactly. So we're kind of using the same matrix. What's the size of the town? Like Northborough's not that different, or
Right.
Hudson's not that different in sizing, and then also Marlborough, even though they're like 40,000 residents, I think now, and see how they're. Marlborough's a very different animal. Mike, you've worked in Marlborough, right? It's a different
Totally
treatment. They
different
have
kettle of
different
fish.
issues in Marlborough than they do in
Totally. So
Southborough,
like,
but yeah.
I'm very familiar with both Marlborough and say like Westboro, for example. And Westboro's got some interesting AUD restrictions and how they use that. And that was a relatively recent change in Westboro. So
Okay. So this is ongoing, and this is something that's on the planning board agenda for a few meetings, is what I'm taking away from this, Doris. Okay,
did we lose her?
No, she's back, but she's muted.
yeah. There wasn't anything else. You just wanted to sort of keep us current on how this is going, Doris?
The feedback, the other feedback I was more interested in, if it makes it to the warrant, was a sense from the board, is there a preference over modifying, and I'll explain that, or well, if you go by right, you're just removing it from the code. You're saying accessory apartments and ADUs are by right.
I
Was
believe
there a
that's what
lien or
Westboro
huh?
has. I believe that's what Westboro has with restrictions, like you are allowed to have it. Again, I don't have it in front of me. In
Yeah.
a couple of years, but I believe they have it by right with restrictions and that are laid out and enumerated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of more like a special permit, where as long as you check off these conditions, you can do it, as
That's
opposed
it.
to variance.
That's exactly
Um,
right.
And I think it is important to differentiate between an ADU and an accessory apartment, because I think, and I didn't check
Totally.
our code, but accessory apartments right now are kind of apartments within the structure of the existing home, not a separate building. And I think the ADU, especially in some of our super large lots, being a separate building would be, not acceptable without it being delineated.
Okay.
The third thing I would say is that it should not be tied to whatever we have to do as a town for the MBTA communities zoning.
I think those are two
This
different
should be a
things entirely.
town-wide thing, not just within that zone.
Oh, couldn't agree more with you on that.
Yeah, I agree.
I have less of an issue. I don't care if it's within the home or if there's like I have a barn in my backyard. So if I wanted to make that an accessory dwelling unit, I don't see the restriction. But that's me.
Okay,
Yeah, so I lean towards having it by right, but some restrictions. I have issue with well, we really only address accessory apartments like Greg's leaning to. I have issue with some of the benchmarks since 1979 can't exceed a certain base number of the total units. So I have issue with those line items. I find them possibly easier to take out of the code. I have issue with the sizing percentage and that could be debated. So a small house, for instance, can't go over 20, and it's in other
I
town
couldn't-
codes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I don't have 1,500 square feet, and it's like, oh no, you couldn't do this unless it's this size. And it's like, well, wait a minute, it's my house, right? Like,
Yeah.
like I always, I get my
Yeah.
property rights, back up. Like, wait a minute, I live here, right? If I want
Right.
to make an accessory dwelling unit,
Yeah, I don't know why we're
my
measuring.
home.
I think what would help is I would be interested in seeing how we compare to similar sized towns, like how is it done in Hudson and Westboro and Northborough? I'd be interested in that rather than really sort of trying to figure out the code otherwise.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And
Yeah, so of course, I talked to Deb tomorrow this week. I tend to do things just because of my professional discipline. You give it to me, and I went out and did my 3 towns, and I'm waiting on them, kind of thing. So I think it's relevant. I'm certainly can bring the survey back in summary. Because I've done my 3, but nobody else has done their homework yet.
Oh, okay, all right,
Okay,
all right. So we'll,
so yeah.
so we'll wait for the
Andrew's
homework to come back.
known to be a complete slacker, so we know that
Yeah.
firsthand.
Yeah, for me, this homework was like 2 months ago, Mike. So when I'm thinking of Marlboro, I was panning the code. I was having trouble. They're addressing other matters in Marlboro, not.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
sort of like
Marlboro's not a really good comparable.
yeah, I said
they're
that.
totally different
They're-
structure.
It's like
Yeah,
Framingham. It's like it's
Yeah, that's what I
apples and
said.
oranges.
Um,
Hudson, Northborough, Westboro, more residential.
But I would coincide and agree with Mike in terms of, I don't think, as long as you can make a, legitimately sized accessory dwelling, I don't think that should be dependent on how big your house is. Because basically all that does is start creating this preference for the people that can afford the large houses to be able to benefit from this.
There it is.
And it's kind of classist in that sense, and just perpetuates.
It perpetuates the problem. They're
Yeah.
the people. They're typically the people who least need an accessory dwelling unit.
Right.
We're going to go through all this, and then people with really modest, tiny houses, you're out of luck.
Right, exactly. Agreed.
Right. So the I see them very closely related in ADU versus the accessory, because you might want to place your in-laws outside your house,
Damn right.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I know the loopholes on the big houses, we'd have a whole secondary structure. So, I'm sensitive to that too, but we're not really solving for, there's just so many examples that have come up in our different meetings and discussions. We have elderly, we have even people who live in need. We just approved an application where someone really needed to have a different kind of entrance in the
Mhm.
house.
Yep.
Yeah, so for medical care, returning children and children's children, second generations. And that may be just to cut the rent, It conflicts with another part of the code, is how many people can live in a house. There's a piece of the code that how many unrelated people can live in a house. So I guess it's the fact you have a kitchen. I think that was makes it different. And in all cases, you've got to be able to have the sewer. I mean, you have to
Yeah,
have sewer
it is.
to accommodate
Yeah,
these
it does
people.
come back to septic and number of
It comes
bedrooms.
back to septic,
That's
so,
it.
and that's gonna really limit the density.
Correct.
So, so I was for removing pieces of the code and not just, or like Greg was saying, putting some restrictions on it. I don't know the answer because what those restrictions are gonna look like. So I was just updating you guys.
Yeah.
I've gotten
No, I-
feedback.
I
I've
really
got a pretty-
appreciate the time into it. It's an important matter that needs attention.
Agreed.
Yeah, so you're saying it stands on its own at town meeting and let the, MBTA thing, as we say, the same with the MBTA. I mean,
I do
maybe I've
think
got
that's
this
very
wrong,
different.
but it's coming from the top down, and I always have issue and it had to do with 40B too, although I think it's, overall, it's very important to expand our housing units and allow someone we call middle affordable housing in Southborough, any affordable housing in Southborough.
Yeah.
But I can't understand, and maybe I can't understand, because now the town would be forced, that's the word for it, yes.
Well, I mean, the thing to keep in
Or you
mind
lose
about
funding.
the MBTA communities, it's just zoning to allow it. I mean, you still have to find the space to do it and everything else. It's not in and of itself going to create a whole
Yeah.
bunch of new houses and density. So
Okay.
it's having the zoning to allow it to happen if and when it could.
Correct.
There was a slight overlap, and you're gonna correct me if I'm wrong, it's gonna come out, is when it does come up and about that our code has to align on accessory units. I may have that incorrect. We have to, it's gonna supersede, or still gonna come to town meeting, to accept it, so. But I still have a top-down problem with it. Even if we allowed it, I understand what you're saying, Greg, but a top-down versus a bottom up. Maybe there's just this feeling the town could never on its own put it in the zoning code, so we don't
Well,
know what we want.
I guess the question is, if it were from the bottom up and as a town and any of the towns that's involved in this, not just Southborough, thought
Yeah.
it was important, it would already be in the zoning code and this MBTA's Community Act would mean nothing.
Right,
Right.
We'd already be there.
but
Yeah.
it won't be.
Right.
That's
But without
why the
it,
state knows.
towns like Southborough and others aren't doing it on their own.
Right,
And that's where it comes from, okay.
like 40B, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
But for,
Mhm.
a lot of towns would have none.
Right, exactly.
We're volunteers, I was gonna say, somebody brought that in earlier this evening.
Yeah,
And that's it for me. I mean, unless you think you want me to charge with, I keep reporting back. As soon as I feel like I'm not adding confusion to it and there's something more substantial on the research, if everybody does their homework, I'll bring it back to the board if you want.
okay,
Sure.
yeah,
Love that.
like I said,
Absolutely.
I
think it's
would,
really important.
yeah, I would definitely, I would find it easier to operate from the perspective of how do we compare to these other communities? And what do we do right now? So that's what I'd like to see before we really get anywhere.
Okay, great, yeah.
Okay.
I work at a faster pace. It's just been my, although I did work overseas at this very low, slow pace, privately, we're so deadline oriented as CPAs. It's
Right,
it's a, yeah, so I
okay,
can't understand why things work so slow. You miss a deadline, you're in really big trouble.
right,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So one thing I did, and this it's not going to impact Craig, I know, but we did get a 40B application filed this week. The planning board would like to have a meeting with the ZBA before that, and that's October 11th. So I don't know what availability is for the four of us at this stage. Between now and October 11th, but it would be good to, I would certainly like to have that meeting with the planning board.
Yeah, so I'm available. I'm back, I'm trying to get to an airplane. Remember, I said I gotta get to an airplane soon. I don't want to
Yeah.
miss my flight, but yeah, no, I'm good on the 11th. It's in there's something else. We have a 7:30 ZBA meeting, but I'll have that day available for that.
Okay,
for
yeah,
sure.
we're looking to see if we can find time to meet with the planning board
Prior
before
to
the
the
11th. Yeah, prior to
Okay,
the-
I hear you. So,
okay. All right, so are there certain, I don't know, are there certain nights that don't work for anybody, like that we need to avoid? I think we got to be kind of flexible and see what the planning board is proposing. Did they they didn't give any guidelines as far as that goes, did they, Laura?
About
About
scheduling?
when, yeah.
No, let me see if I can pull that up from Karina. I don't think so.
Yeah,
While she's looking, which one filed first?
Park Central.
yeah.
So thanks a lot, Craig.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Um,
Yeah, she just said, consider meeting with the planning board and town council to review and define the steps in the permitting process and responsibilities of the ZBA and planning board.
okay, so I think the response is yes, we are interested in meeting with the planning board. But I guess we just need to know, what are the dates that they're proposing that we do that, and we'll have to try to coordinate that, obviously.
Is it a joint meeting, a public hearing? Because I mean, if it's a public meeting, it's got to be noticed or
Yeah,
is it
no.
just you, David, and town council and the chair of the planning board meeting to make sure that both
Right.
town council are on the same page?
Right. Yeah, I don't know if that if that's a public meeting or that seems like that's executive
Well, it's not even executive. It's
or
just
informative.
it's just a meeting of. There's not enough people to form a board. There's no decisions that can be made.
Right.
So even if and something on the agenda soon should be picking another clerk. Even if you and the clerk do it, that's still only two. It's not a quorum. It's not a group meeting. Brown Act doesn't get triggered at all. So
Okay.
I would suggest at least two people from the zoning board be there to
Right.
corroborate what was said.
Yeah. Oh yeah, certainly. Okay. All right.
David, if I may, I think the big concern with them is more so with some of the Turnpike Road 40B applications that are coming, because there's some questions about frontage and an A&R and subdivision and stuff like that. So I think planning board had some legal questions regarding
Okay.
those applications. I don't know. I'm sure they'd like to be on the same page for Park Central too, but I think from my understanding, the biggest concern is for the Turnpike Road ones.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I can certainly be available. It would be good for at least one other member of the ZBA to be there. Speaking of that business, Craig, what's your status now?
This will be my last meeting. I'm off the board as of whenever we adjourn.
Okay.
Because I'm moving to Worcester. So I'm not going to be a town person anymore, and therefore it's frowned upon that I continue to serve on the board.
Understandably. So procedurally, does that mean we need to choose a new clerk tonight or at the next meeting?
I think it wasn't on the agenda, and I don't think it's just an internal thing anyway. You can do what you want to, but you might want to, Andrew and the town clerk have been notified of me resigning. I don't know what the select board's plan is to move Jamie up to a full member, or if Jamie wants to be a full member, or if she's, and that's another question, but
Right.
you guys can figure that out. I don't think you have to do it tonight. It's
Okay.
administrative. It's my view on it.
Yeah, I agree. I just thought I'd bring it up. Okay, then unless I'm missing something, I think that was it. Am I right, Laura?
I think just next meetings, which October 11th will be the opening of the public hearing for Park Central.
Yeah.
So that's October 11th at 7 o'clock. And then we have our regularly scheduled meeting currently scheduled for October 18th, the week after. And we have one application for that. It's a variance for setback.
So
No, you're in Portugal.
yeah, I won't be available the 18th. It's possible to move that back another week.
We probably could.
Actually,
We're going to be short anyway.
That would be the 25th. Are you going to be back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Craig, what were you going to say?
no, I didn't know when you'd be back. So, I mean, probably a week. Doesn't matter. I didn't know if it'd run up into have to have a meeting based on when they filed the application sort of thing.
Right.
I think we should still be well within the 65 days.
Okay.
I think they filed. Hold on. I can tell you 1 second.
Well, she's checking on that, Craig. Like, I totally didn't know you were moving and I'm bummed.
Yeah, it is disappointing.
Yeah, this is what happens when your final kid graduates from high school and goes to college. Is you move to places where you can walk to restaurants and do things like that.
Imagine that.
I know.
So what am I
Yeah.
still doing here?
I don't know,
Not-
Dave.
not-
I'm still
Not
here.
naming names there, Dave, and
I don't know about me ever
You
moving out of
could just
town.
reset the clock, do what I do and just reset the clock to 0 because
yeah,
know,
no,
yeah.
no.
I don't know about that one, Mike.
Yeah.
The bridge
Yeah,
too far.
But like, congratulations.
Yes,
I'm
congratulations.
for you, and then totally bummed too.
Yeah.
Yeah. it'll
Yeah,
be-
we've got,
It's been great having you, man.
yeah,
Sincerely.
Greg, it's gonna be a gap. I'm not sure how we're
Yeah.
replacing you.
Yeah.
But I guess that's our problem.
Uh,
But it's been
well,
fun,
it's the
you know?
sports one.
Helen?
Um, Laura, did you confirm that we're within the 65 days?
Yeah, they filed September 1st, so we're good.
Oh, okay, good. So, okay. Yeah,
Alright.
agree, Craig. It's sorry to see you go. You're certainly a very strong member of the board. Would love to have you, but, understand too.
Yeah.
Where in Worcester are you moving to?
I am moving. This is all public record now. You're gonna have to put this in the minutes unless we want to close the meeting.
I've got a hard stop, guys. I
Okay.
gotta
Yeah.
honor
All
off.
right,
I'm
all right.
leaving.
You
Okay.
might want to close it and then we don't have
Yeah,
to
then we can
drop off.
chat. Paul, do you mind since it's my last meeting?
Absolutely, go
I
right
steal your
ahead.
thunder?
No, go ahead. I'd be honored.
I move to what is it, adjourn the meeting? Close
Mhm.
meeting? I move that we end the meeting.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Motion to adjourn has been made and seconded. All in favor, respond with aye. Opposed, nay. Doris,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Williams, aye. Okay. Thanks very much. Doris, go catch your flight.
There it
Yeah.
is.
Oh, yeah, no, I gotta catch it. I'm serious.
All
All
right.
right,
No,
I'll see you
We'll see
back
ya.
in Southborough soon
serious
enough.
too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right,
You'll
thank you.
love Portugal, by the way, Dave. It's
Okay.
fun. You'll enjoy
Good. I'm
it.
looking
Take care.
forward to it. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Is it
So,
safe now, Laura?
I mean, let me stop recording.
oh, that's probably a good idea too.